I just feel silly with excitement. I'm super grateful he said yes to spend time with you guys. I know that you're going to learn so much. We have never had somebody that has done everything, who started as an actor. He's a producer, writer, director of one of the most iconic sitcoms of all times, The Nanny. The TV show, created, wrote, and executive produced the Nanny for 6 years. And also all kinds of spin-offs from The Nanny. It just seems like there's so many different versions of it. The animated Christmas special, Oi to the World, that's pretty hilarious. Also, Beautician and the Beast, wrote for the Disney film Mamma Mia, which I did not know until I just saw your bio, which was just super impressive. And then he was co-executive producer of WB's What I Like About You, directed several episodes. Also, Happily Divorced, created that show, which I loved and watched all of those episodes. Based on his 18-year marriage with Fran Drescher, which ended after Peter told Fran he's gay. So, and the show was about that, which was amazing. So super excited to hear you speak about that. And he served as executive producer and writer. And now he's got a new Netflix show called Country Comfort with 10 episodes that hopefully we will be getting to see when things get normal. But welcome. I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for coming. Peter Marc Jacobson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, it wasn't that Mamma Mia. This was a different Mamma Mia.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I was like, oh my goodness, what haven't you done? So anyway, I know we're going to just so you guys know, we're going to let you guys write questions in the chat. I have some questions I wanted to start off with. And then we have some of the people from our staff that you guys can keep an eye out on the questions that are in the chat. But first of all, Peter, I am dying to hear about your journey. You and Fran were high school sweethearts, and it wasn't your production company called High School Sweethearts or something like that. And you just started from such humble beginnings and started as an actor. How on earth did you go from that to being such a crazy, successful producer, writer, director, all of that?
You know, it beats me because, you know, we were in high school when we met, and we both were lucky that in that time in New York, we went to a brand new high school that formed a new program where half the day you chose a major like pre-med or theater, or something like that, which we did. So half the day we had theater classes, and the rest of the day we had normal classes. So it was kind of set up like the performing arts school.
Wow.
So we had some wonderful teachers back then. And so you got to learn a lot about theater. You got to learn, you know, lighting and costumes and history and classical and scene study and everything. You got a really good education. And we wanted to be in the business. At that time, I didn't know if I wanted to be an actor or if I wanted to be behind the scenes, and because I was shy. But I would get the leads in all the high school plays because I could sing, and they always do a musical. So, you know.
And you're handsome, maybe.
Oh, well, you're very kind. Thank you. But I got them, but Fran and I wanted to do something professional. So for a lot of kids back then, and for guys and girls now, we tried to do TV commercials. And when I was a little boy, I was chosen at camp to do this Jell-O commercial because I didn't want to go in the pool. So I was sitting there sulking, and somebody said, "Do you want to go eat pudding?" And those were the days where you could follow people. And I went in with these people, and they had all these cameras set up. I think I was 6 years old, and I loved to eat food. So I just sat there and ate this pudding and was happy as a clam. And they'd ask me these questions, and I wanted more pudding. And went home, and I didn't know what I was doing. And they called my mother, and they said, "You know, we filmed your son, and we want to use him in a national Jell-O commercial that actually we already filmed, if you'll give permission. She said yes, and they said, you know, they really thought she should put me in commercials, and she said no, not until he's 18 and he wants to do it on his own, but I don't want to drag him all over the city and want him to have a normal childhood. And so I did that one commercial, which ironically, it was, I guess, 10 years later, got me into the Screen Actors Guild because I did my one job. It was like a year too late, but I went down there and I begged them, and the woman was so nice and she let me in. So you could do, in New York, you could do extra work as an actor, and you could also do, go up on commercials. And so that's how I got into the business, doing TV commercials. I, at the time, had the right look and was talented enough to, you know, eat the food or whatever they asked me to do. And I started booking TV commercials, and Fran started booking TV commercials. She didn't talk in a lot of hers, but she was beautiful. And I remember when she got the first job she got was a McDonald's commercial, and she said, you know, welcome to McDonald's or something like that. When we saw the commercial, it was just, and they cut her voice because it was such a thick accent. And she then, we started going up on some acting things, and she got a job in on Saturday Night Fever as her first job, and then she got a job out in LA, and I followed, and we both started working in LA. We had enough money to stay for a year, and it wasn't a lot of money.
Wow.
It was like, I think, $10,000 after the whole movie was shot, and taxes were taken out, so probably $5,000, and that's what we lived on for a year.
Wow.
And but she started getting jobs here, and I started getting jobs in commercials and episodic here and there. And slowly we started to build a resume. And I also liked writing, so we wanted to produce our own sitcom. We were, 21 years old. I mean,
Wow.
people would just nod and say yeah. But we met this manager, Elaine Rich, who believed in us, and she kept pushing me to write and pushing to come up with something. And because we'd be on TV shows, but we kind of felt like they were making mistakes here and there, and why are they doing it this way? But you can't really say something as an actor. You're just happy you got the job. And eventually, I helped write a pilot script for Who's the Boss, because this manager set me up with somebody who wanted to do a spinoff with Fran and Donna Dixon, and I came in within half of an idea, and we formed together. Eve Branstein, who used to be the casting director for all the big Norman Lear shows, and the pilot was made. It never went anywhere, and I went back to acting. And then I went. Years would go by, and things we'd build up a resume, and Fran did a job for CBS, a short-lived series called Princesses. And one of the reviews said, when will they learn that the show should be called Princess and not Princesses? So Fran and I, I always saw her as a lead, as a star of a series. Other people saw her as a secondary character because her was so funny. But she was too pretty to be a secondary character. She stole too much focus from the lead. So, and I always thought the voice was an asset. Where other people thought, oh no, she should learn to talk another way. No one's ever going to hire her.
Wow.
And this is what I want to tell all you guys too, because every one of you in this class has something special about you. Don't dull it down. Enhance it. Don't overdo it or anything. I'm just saying, love who you are. And when you go in on those auditions, let the people behind the desk see who you are, because each one of you is different. And each one of you has something very special to offer that nobody else in the world does. And that's what, in class with your teachers, that's what you need to learn to develop. Because that's when somebody walks into my office and auditions, and I see something that's special and unique, and they're comfortable with who they are, they may not get that part, but I'll tell you, I'll say to the casting director, put them in the file for, you know, something coming up because they're special, they're gifted. Don't try to be what you think I want. Just be you. Show who you are. And that's what I think the acting classes is at its best.
Yeah.
You get to develop and feel safe to make mistakes, to try things, to figure things out, where you don't want to do that when you're going in on an audition. That's not to do that. That's what acting class is for, and that's why I think all actors should study. In London, everyone studies so much, and I'll tell you, when the English actor comes in, you know it, because they are prepared, and you feel very safe with them. So I just that's just my
no, it's great.
hint there.
Awesome,
anyway,
awesome, yeah.
We eventually came up with this idea. She came up with the idea for the Nanny, and I came up with the idea to make him a Broadway producer. And she was actually on the plane with Jeff Sagansky, the head of CBS, and he you know, tried to basically said, you know, oh, do I have an idea for you? And it's like, oh God, this guy's caught in first class with this actress for 19 hours. And he said, we'll hear your idea when you go back to back to LA. And she was visiting our friend Twiggy, who she did that show with, who was the supermodel, and taking care of her little kid. And she thought it was such a funny relationship. She called me and said, what do you think about The Sound of Music? Except instead of Julie Andrews, I come to the door. And I said, that's it. I had just launched a show to Fox for Dan Aykroyd, who was a friend of mine, who was a very big support system for me and believed in my talents. And we sold the show. So I had a little clout because we sold this show. So CBS let me write The Nanny, but then put a couple of experienced showrunners with us. Those are the people that run the show, who know how to run shows. We didn't know how to run a show because we'd never done it before. But anyway, they pitched the show as basically The Nanny from Hell, and starring Fran Drescher. The network loved it. It was the highest testing show in like 6 years. Wow. And the rest is kind of history. It's a long, long story, and I'll answer any questions you guys have, but I know you're probably more interested in acting and that. So why don't we open it up to that, or what you guys want to know, unless you want to know something.
Do you want to share some of the, I mean, you were opening, when you talked just a few minutes before we started, talking about how your perspective in being a producer and an actor, you had some great things to talk about, and you have a unique perspective in that as far as starting as an actor and just how you have seen things differently.
Well, you know, I think all actors should sit in a room and watch actors audition. Might be a good class to have, an audition, or maybe you have it, an audition class. Because, you know, you always think, oh God, the guy before me or the girl before me is doing such an amazing job, and this is how I used to think, at least, and you know, and most of the people that come in are okay. They're not great, you know. And then once in a while, somebody comes in and you say, oh, wow, that's it. Sometimes people come in trying to be something, you know, an example that says a lawyer from Harvard, you know, you know, blah, blah, blah. A lawyer, I'm sorry. You'll get an actor trying to act like a lawyer, but then it's like, what does a lawyer act like?
Yeah.
You know? And a lawyer can be anything. So come in and be you as a lawyer. And if you have a lisp, don't try to hide the lisp, use the lisp. Maybe it'll be funny. Maybe it'll be, you know, look at Wally Shawn, a wonderful actor who has a lisp and has made a career playing these very quirky characters. So I can't emphasize enough how to use your instrument, learn all the quirks and wonderful things about you. I once had an audition. I was already producing, and I got a call from a casting director. His name is David. Oh my, I forgot his last name. He's one of the biggest casting directors.
Ruben?
Ruben, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. David Ruben, who I used to audition for when I was a kid. Now, this is 20 years later. This is how good a casting director he is.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
casting a part for a movie with Ashton Kutcher, and he thought I'd be perfect for it. He says it's a plastic surgeon who's doing reconstructive work on a private area of Anne Hesh. And he thought I would be perfect for this. And now I haven't auditioned in 20 years, guys. And, I thought they were offering me the part. And then they said, come in and meet the people and you'll be on tape. And I said, okay. Why am I doing this? I'm just putting myself through this nightmare for no reason. And I go to the audition, and there's 30 of me sitting there of every shape, size, all in our little plastic surgery, uniforms, outfits. And I'm, talking myself out of it. But when I looked at the piece, I thought, what can I do with this that might be fun? Because it's a very serious piece, but it's a comedy. And I'm describing to Ashton Kutcher that he can have sex with Anne Hesh for 2 weeks until the surgery heals. And then I said, but afterwards, and everything will be wonderful. And I did this little thing with my hand that they all started laughing at. And I kept it very serious. Then I just moved on. And they said, thank you. And I went home, and then I beat myself up thinking, oh, what did you do? And they called and they said, you got the part.
Wow.
And don't forget that thing you did with your hand. Because that's what got me the part. I did something that nobody else in there did. I'm sure there were a lot of guys who did a fine, wonderful job, but I did this one little thing, this stupid little quirky thing. And when the film came up, the head of CAA walked over to me and said, we saw a screening of that movie you're in. You did the funniest thing in the movie. And it was just from that stupid little thing I did and remember that. Be creative when you go in there. Find something to do that they're going to remember. That's real. That's connected. I'm not saying, it doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't have to be anything, but just bring you to that audition.
It's so good. I love that you're saying this because it's one of the things that we talk about over and over again. And it's hard for actors to believe that. And coming from you, they're going to believe it more. We have a saying, you are enough, meaning who you are intrinsically has the magic in it. There's nobody else like you. And I think it really is what actors have such a hard time with accepting. They think, I'm not that cool. I need to be like this person over here. So that's powerful that you're saying that, because they're going to believe you.
And it may not mean you get the job, because I'll tell you, there are a lot of producers out there that really don't have great taste. I mean, you can come in and do a wonderful job, and if the producer doesn't happen to have good taste, it means maybe they're going to go after somebody that reminds them of their kid or something like that, or don't know, good acting, or so block all of that stuff out and just go in and do what you do, and then move on to your next audition or your next class. You do it the best you can, move on. Don't dwell on it, just move on. Because there's so many variables. I can't tell you, I just auditioned a girl, and I won't name who it is, because she's famous. And she came into audition and for a role. And for some reason, one person at the network didn't get it. And this person really, famous and did a great job, and she ended up not getting it, but she was great. So you just don't know. There's so many other, and a lot of times you're auditioning, but they're looking for names on the side. So but you can do a great you, because they may think, oh, you know what, he'd be great for, or she'd be great for this part that's coming up in episode 4. Oh, okay, put her down, have them come back in. that's, you know, that's the kind of stuff you really got to concentrate on, is just your work. Just concentrate on your work, not, you know, anything else but that.
So good. Can you share, because the other people didn't get to hear, I thought what you were sharing with us earlier before we started today about training and about you later, you know, getting into that and having that, can you just
Yeah,
repeat?
you know,
That was so good.
when I left New York, I was saying that I used to get the leads in all the high school plays and everything. So I felt like the star in Flushing. But, you know, once you go out to Los Angeles or New York, then you are sitting there with all the other stars of all their high schools and the people who've graduated performing arts and Juilliard and are very well studied.
Mm.
I can't emphasize how much I wish, the one mistake I wish I did was take it more seriously, my studying. I was talented enough to get away with a lot because I knew some, because I had that high school education. But then I should have continued on and really taken scene studies seriously and gotten, and, you know, because when you get that chance to go in,
Yeah.
you want to be, you know, they say success happens when preparedness meets opportunity. And if you will get the opportunity, but if you're not prepared, you're going to regret it. So
Yeah.
study, study, study. And when you think you know it all, you don't. Study some more, learn how to dance, learn how to sing, learn how to, because movement is very, very important for an actor. Learn camera studying. You know, there are classes you can take. Stage is different than camera. Accents. You don't know what is going to come your way and what to be prepared for. And there have been many times in my career where they'd say, "Can you sing?" And I was lucky because I could sing. Can you dance? I wish I would have taken more dance because I was able to move well, but, you know, I couldn't. I got a call back, I remember, for a Broadway show. It was Crazy for You, I think it was. And it was big Cole Porter musical, I think. And I may be making a mistake here, but I got past the singing and they wanted to call me back and I was very excited, but I turned it down because I can't tap dance. And I was up against, I think it was Harry Groner at the time, and he's a brilliant tap dancer. It's like, this is a waste of my time.
Yeah.
I would have studied. I wish I would have done it, because the more you got in your bag of tricks, the better, the more likelihood is that you will get work.
Yeah. I totally, you know, it's funny. I'm so glad you repeated that because it was so juicy when you shared it before, because I think actors are in such a hurry to get seen before their craft is really ready to be seen. You know, they think it's about just getting seen, and you burn bridges because if you walk into a room and you suck, you know, the possibility of somebody bringing you in again. So that's
Be prepared.
yeah.
There's no rush, you know. If you're a kid, you know, it's much easier to get into the business when you're a kid because they're growing up so fast. They're always looking for another kid on a series, or, you know, but even then they've got to be talented, and some are naturally talented. But that's, you know, they have their shtick and they do it, but doesn't mean that's why a lot of them, as they get older, don't work anymore, because they don't really
have the chops. Yeah.
You know, learn your craft, and then you can have a career at this instead of a one shot at a, you know, a series that may or may not go for 15, you know, minutes, and you know, a lot, and no, that's it.
That's good. I do have I have so many questions, but you're getting a lot of questions there. Can some of the teachers pick a question, just kind of look through those and pick, and actually, you know what, I'm going to ask you while you guys, unless somebody oh yeah, Carolyn, how you got the idea for the nanny? You are awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so you can put questions in the chat, so kind of a thing. So one of the things I want to ask while they're figuring out which ones to choose, the the cast for The Nanny was phenomenal. You got unbelievable actors. And when you talked about, when you see it in the room and it's just like, wow, kind of thing. Can you talk about the process for the cast that you got that was so iconic and such a great fit?
The original cast was Mark Hirschfeld, and then April Webster took over halfway through. He's a genius casting director, as he.
Yeah.
Most of the talent on that show came from theater, Broadway, and I find that a lot of the best talent I find has done theater, because it's a different training. It's a different. When you're doing sitcom, it's sort of like theater because it's proscenium. All the cameras are in front of you, not like when you're doing a single camera, which is more like a film, where the camera is here, and then they'll turn it around, and then they'll get a two-shot, wide shot, and here you're doing like a little play, and you learn camera technique and how to work in front of a camera. But it's a lot like working on stage, where you play out much more. And when they came to audition, when Daniel Davis, who played the butler, came in, it was like, I think he was the first person to audition, and it was like, do we need to look any further? And then
he's American, and he had such a phenomenal accent.
Yes, he's from Arkansas. From Broadway, amazingly a talented man. Roddy McDowell, who was a big movie star, was the other choice. It was him and Roddy McDowell that we took to the network to test. What happens is it's narrowed down usually to 2 or 3 people, and then you go to the network with the 3 people, and that you perform it in front of the network, which is about 10 or 12 people, and you. And so, sometimes nowadays, I think there's more that's done on tape, which is better. You don't have that pressure of a performance with a spotlight in your face. I used to hate doing that. And you just don't get the best out of an actor, I feel, with that kind of pressure. And I forgot who Lauren Lane, who was also brilliantly talented. She played Cece, who, all of these people were well-trained actors. When we filmed the show, about 3 episodes in, she called a meeting and she said, I get the insulting me constantly. It's funny, but it would be so much funnier if I can give it back to him. And she was right. It just meant a lot more work for the writers, because how do you keep going back and forth with that? But she was right to push us in that direction, because that's what kept that relationship alive. Otherwise, it would have just been constant badgering. But it was fun because it would go back and forth and back and forth. He ultimately usually won, but she was right to push us in that, and she knew from theater and reading plays and writing that she needed to have something to work with. The kids were the last. Madeline, the little girl who played Maddie, she came in and blew us away. She was a very, very talented young kid. Maggie was perfect for the plot, and we couldn't find Brighton, and he was the last person to walk in. And Maxwell, it was between him and Michael York from Cabaret. And here I thought, wow, this big movie star. But the head of the network, Jeff Sagansky, said, this Charles Shaughnessy just did a Murphy Brown for us, and he's the part.
Wow.
And he was right. And Jeff was a big supporter of the show, and he was right. He was right. And that's how that all happened. And they all got along very well, and you could give them. It's an interesting story I had about Danny, who played the butler, because in one scene that was written, he insults the child, and then he says, I can't do this. And he did it in front of the audience, or a run through, and it got like a, ooh, they didn't like that. So I said to him, try it running it together without the break, doing the insult and go immediately into, see, I can't do this. And then it worked. So sometimes you can adjust, not give them a chance to react to it, but now now as the actor, as the character, you're telling the audience, yeah, I can't do this kind of thing to a kid. So then they'll laugh at it. So it's little touches with comedy, little beats and things you learn. And again, with comedy, it's always different because the audience, what worked Monday may not work Tuesday. So, you know, you've got to keep it fresh and just play the reality of it, and not expect the laugh to come on this line, because sometimes it doesn't.
That's good, boy. That's really, really good. I'm curious, like, how did you learn to write so well? Like, how did you learn to have that sensibility?
I
Yeah.
think it was just something I kept trying to do. We just enjoyed it. I just liked writing characters. I liked writing for Fran. We like writing with each other, and we're both writers. And I took a class at UCLA on sitcom writing, and it's a weird story because it was just like a 6-month class or 6-week class, but I needed to learn the form. I didn't really know the form. And by the end of the class was like we sold the Nanny. Wow. Teacher actually came in for a writing job.
Wow.
And, you know, so it was very bizarre. And right before that, as I said, Dan Aykroyd, I pitched him an idea because he was a friend and he loved the idea. It was basically Cops, but way, way before Cops came out. And he's obsessed with police, and it was called CCPD, and it was basically a police department, but a reality version comedy. And Fox bought it. It was a year Fox started, and that got sold at the same time, but legally something happened and they couldn't do it. And so I went to the Nanny, because that would have been my first, and I really wanted to do the Nanny because that was really where my heart was, you know.
So I have to ask, because also, what was it like, and when did you know that this was going to be a big hit? And that had to be very surreal, because it's life-changing at that point, right, for you? Like,
yeah, I mean,
have
you
something
know,
blow up that big.
it always felt like there were these big TV shows, and then we were like this little thing that was going on that nobody knew about while we were making it, because you make it before it airs. So we were making this TV show, and I remember we had bought tickets at Madison Square Garden to see the Barbra Streisand concert. She was making her big comeback. And we couldn't afford anything, so we bought like the last row of the Madison Square Garden, way, way up in the boondocks. And the show just started to air. Now, this was when CBS and NBC, there were just 4 networks. So when your show aired, 20 million people saw it, or 10 million people saw it. And that's not like now when 500,000 people see something. But we were locked in a studio, basically, or doing press. So this was like one of our first outings. And we went to see the concert. And before it started, they had those big Trons, you know, that they were all over the place. They put the camera on Fran. And the whole Madison Square Garden started, you know, saying, Fran, 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 Fran.
Oh.
And we're looking at each other like, Fran who? And,
oh my God.
and then we looked at the Tron, and it was like surreal. And these 2 security guards came behind us and pointed us and said, come with us. And we said, we didn't do anything.
Oh my God.
And they said, no, just follow us. And they brought us to the 2nd row of the stage. And they said, sit here. And they put 2 chairs there. And we said, well, yeah, but what if the people whose chairs are come during the show? We don't want to miss the show. They said, don't worry about it. This is how naive we were. And they said, stay, because Miss Streisand wants to meet you after the concert. Because, you know, we would always, the character loved Fran.
Yeah.
Fran loved the character.
Yeah.
Barbara. And so we're looking at each other, and we go backstage and we meet her, and she was unbelievably nice and flattering. And she sent us home in a limo.
Wow.
And we looked at each other in the limo. I remember this, and we said, things are not going to be the same.
Oh, wow.
And that's when we really realized. Another time was when we did a show where Fran goes on a private jet for the first time, and they serve her lobster, and their turbulence lobster goes all over the place, and this big event for Sony, and we were going to go on vacation, and the president of all of Sony was introduced to us, and he said, what are you doing in New York? And we said, well, we're going to go to Nantucket Island. And he whispers in somebody's ear, and he said, nice to meet you, and good luck with the show. We're very happy with it. And he walks away, and he said, they're going to send you to Nantucket on the private Sony jet. And it was like, oh, wow. We'd never been on a private jet before. And when we get on the jet, they recreated the meal that we had on the show. So they served us lobster on the jet. But just so you know that this also happens, because at the end of the 6 years, when and we got to use the private jet whenever we needed it to go back and forth, because they needed us to do a lot of publicity. But at the end of the run, the ratings started to go down, and we called and we said, we need to go to New York. Can we use the jet on Friday? And they said, oh, it's booked. And we said, well, we could go next Friday. It's booked then too.
Oh gosh.
Basically meaning it's over.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? We enjoyed the ride. It was an amazing ride. We knew, and it's going to come to an end. So don't take any of it too seriously, because one day you're going to get that call. It's over. you know?
Yeah.
It's like the jet is not available to you any longer. But we laughed, because you can't take it seriously. None of it means anything. It's all great perks, and it's fun if it happens. But, Everyone Loves Raymond was using the jet next week. So, they were the big hit then. So God bless.
That's awesome too. I love that you said that, because I do think that actors sometimes think that once you have success, that's it. And it's not. Like, it's definitely a roller coaster thing. But one of the things that, well, let me see. I know, sorry. I have questions, and yes, Alicia, did you raise your hand, or Susan, who's got one of the people's questions that they?
Yeah, we actually have a couple of questions that came up about basically how are you creating, how are you writing, or has COVID-19 changed any of that right now? Just being in the situation that we're in, how has that changed anything for you?
Well, I was working at the studio at Netflix, and basically we got the call and they said, go home. And they said, we'll get back to you. It's been 6 months, but we are supposedly going to be going back soon, but I don't know, the numbers in California are going up. But we worked on scripts like this. Each box was a different writer and a couple of writer's assistants, and they would type in what the showrunner, was Karen Lucas, would decide on all the pitches of what you pitch for lines, and we discuss stories, and we basically did it virtual writers' rooms. We couldn't film anything because no one's allowed on the set yet, but we're all prepared to go back. Fran and I work virtually. We're doing the Broadway musical of The Nanny, so Rachel Bloom is writing the music from Crazy X. So she's turned in a lot of the music. So now Fran and I work virtually like this, and we're putting in the music to the script. So we're doing that. Now is something I was going to say to you guys also, especially once this is over, and it will be over. When I started in the business, we didn't have phones like this. Oh, you can make a TV show on your phone. You can make a movie on your phone. You can edit it. You can add a soundtrack. You can do everything. Do it. See what you look like on film. Learn your angles. Learn what you look like in front of the camera. What about lighting? Lighting can kill or make somebody look great. learn all that stuff because you can practice it on your phone. Look at these clear images that we're getting, and you can edit it. You can do an entire scene. You can write it. You can make, and we couldn't do that back then. We'd have to use Super 8, which none of you probably. But you had to film it, and then you had to get it developed, and then you had to edit it, and it was too much. But this, you can become. You don't have to wait for a Netflix. You can make your own network, and if it hits, you've written your career. That's the new way of doing what we did. You don't have to wait to go to CBS and hope that they will give you money to do something. You can make it happen by yourself. You can make a set. You can film outside, find some great writers in school, write a little sitcom, and film it. Put it up online, and hopefully you develop an audience. And people look at this stuff, and they'll call you and they'll say, wow, come in, we want to have a meeting with you. And that's how you can start your own career, and you have control over your career. You're not giving it to anyone else to hopefully send you up on an audition with 700 other people. You can take control of your own career and show people what you do the best.
That's good. That's really good. And yeah, because the technology has changed so much. People are asking, what do you think in terms of the future of COVID and how it's affecting? Do you have any thoughts on what that's going to look like going forward?
Well, I think that it's going to probably be around for a little while, and I think that it will probably, for work, it'll probably be. I know that one sitcom went back for Netflix. They're talking about ours being the next one. There are a few films that are going up. There's going to be a lot of temperature taking. There's going to be a lot of social distancing. There's going to be a lot of people, probably won't be craft service like there used to be. I mean, even on this last one, towards the end, while we were still working and filming, and people were going to craft service, and I remember grabbing somebody and saying, "I wouldn't do that." I said, "Too many hands have been in there. Let's, if it's something that's wrapped." But it doesn't kill us to, we'll be wearing masks for a long time, and it won't kill us. It's like, the actors have to be careful. They've got to stay safe, and they've got to test, and I'm sure that there'll be some kind of ruling that, while you're working, you may not be able to socialize. For now, I'm sure it will change. And when they come up with some vaccine. But it's not our business, it's all businesses. Everything has changed. So, but things that we never thought of, like all these, we did the Nanny reunion because of this, and people loved it. We've had millions and millions of viewers of it.
Right.
And, this whole Zoom work, it's, you make it work. You can do a two-person play for people. Broadway is the hardest, I think, coming back, because that's not going to come back for a while. That's going to be probably next spring or so. So that's sad.
Heather asked, you talked about your history, but if there was any other things as far as how did you make the successful transition from actor to producer? You told the history. Is there any tips or concepts? I mean, I think I am curious, like producing is definitely a whole nother thing, and you seem to have a really good eye for that. Like,
when I was a kid, I would produce puppet shows. I mean, I would produce in school. I learned how to light in school, and I learned how to costume in school, and I learned how to make up in school, scene study in school, all that stuff I knew how to do, where a lot of people didn't know how to do that because that was separate classes you would take in college. But in my high school education, I learned how to do it. I went to the theater a lot. I watched a theater craft. I learned set design. I learned, things like, if you watch The Nanny, the set is cream colored because we knew we wanted her to be wearing all these amazing outfits, and we didn't want it to clash with what she was wearing.
Wow.
Now, the studio and the network didn't want her to wear that. They wanted her to wear just jeans and t-shirts to be more relatable. But we said, no, that's going to be a big part of the show.
Wow.
You can't see it yet, but please trust us on this. And at the end of the run, the head of the studio said to me, you're right. And thank you for making us do that.
That's amazing. You knew that. That blows my mind that you would have that because that was like one of the most famous things of many that made that show.
Well, I knew Fran wore clothing very well, and I knew that she always had this unique style, and the look of the show for both of us was very important because it's such a visual medium. Most sitcom sets are not that pretty. It's the couch and this kitchen on the side and blah, blah, blah. We wanted this to be a unique set. And you haven't seen many sets like this. And the colors to work. We knew that we wanted all the Sheffields in dark, and she comes in with all the color, like Oz, you know? So it is all thought about. It's not just happenstance. We got a costume designer that Fran had worked on the show Princesses, Brenda Cooper, who won the Emmy for this. And, you know, she had a brilliant, I mean, I personally, with Fran, would go shopping with her in the beginning. So we all would go have the same vision. And then she came, and then she took the vision to another place, which, you know, she just made it amazing. And everything was kind of color coordinated. If you watch the show, it was always a palette that she worked on. She's a genius at what she does. And they're still talking about it today. There are all those sites about her clothes. And 20 years later, who does that, you know, on a sitcom?
Yeah.
But we didn't know we wanted that. We knew this was our shot, and we wanted to use everything, you know. When I was a kid and you'd watch that show, Sonny and Cher, you know, I knew people watched that because they wanted to see what she was going to wear every week. And I worked on a show. I did a show once, and I called Bob Mackey, who did that show, and is a friend, and I wanted him so badly to do a show. And I remember the network thinking, yeah, but can he do comedy? It's like, oh my God, he's, you know, a genius. He did Mama's Family, and he did the Cal Burnett Show. I mean, the man is a genius.
Wow.
Won every award there is, and it's like that you have to question, you know, that. It's like, oh boy, you know, didn't understand it. But anyway, digress. Go ahead. Next question.
That's good. Honestly, those are the kind of things that would never in a million years occur to me. So it's brilliant that you had that vision. It blows my mind. Somebody asked, let me see. Kayla said, how did your understanding of the craft of acting affect your understanding of producing and writing?
Oh, well, I direct too, and directing an actor. Know how to direct an actor because, you know, you're like a doctor. There are times where the script doesn't work, but you've got to try to make it work for the writers to see so they know how to correct it. Like that moment with Danny Davis. I worked with on What I Like About You. There was an actress, and she couldn't make a line work, and I gave a suggestion, and it worked from that. So knowing my own, you know, how I would do something for comedy, especially, you know, some actors don't want line readings at all. We can give them, you know, and then Renee Taylor, who played the mother on the show, loves line readings. She just called me over and say, how do you want me to do this? And I would do it like her, and she'd imitate it, laugh, and say, got it. So, you know, that's how she liked to work with me. And, you know, and then some actors get very nervous, and you just have to let that flow through and let them find their center and then do it. I think you become very sensitive to how an actor works. And then there's some directors that are just, we call them in the business traffic cops. They know where the cameras are, and they will basically tell the actor to walk to here, to there. You know, and a good director will only have an actor move because there's a reason to move.
Mm.
You can't, and you know, I would never ask an actor to do something just because I want to get a camera shot. There's got to be a reason for an actor, for you to move.
Wow.
I was brought onto a show once to direct because they weren't happy with what was going on with the kids on the show. And I won't mention what show it was, but I came on the first day and they all come down for breakfast. And I said, all right, let's start. And they come down and they also sit down at the table and start reading. And I'm saying, is this how you guys behave at home when you come down? Do you go to the refrigerator? Well, I get some milk usually. Well, why don't you do that? What do you do? I get cereal. Why don't you do that? You start working with behaviors. What do you do? Okay, I said, all right, you go get the milk and put it on the table. Okay, the third kid comes down. I said, okay, why don't you come and what do you drink? I drink milk. Why don't you take the milk that he just poured? Now you come back to the table and notice that the milk's not there. Now you've created a bit. Get another milk. Does it again. Kid comes, takes the milk again. I said, do you see what we're doing here? They laughed, they found it fun, and that's the way you start to think as an actor. What can I do that's going to be interesting instead of just sitting down on the couch and saying my line? So as a director, you've got to try to come up with this stuff so that it makes the actor start thinking too. Oh, well, what if I did this? What if I do that? Let's try it. Now, in a sitcom, you don't have a lot of time. So you have to be prepared to do it. Try it a few ways and settle on one. But again, that little stupid movement that I did with that got me a role in a movie because I came up with something. They may not have liked it, but at least it was something that, you know, was specific. Be specific. Specificity is the most important thing for an actor to have. The way the character dresses, the way, you know, sometimes people have no imagination. So if it calls for, the script says, you know, she's a Upper East Side lady with a pullback hair and blah, blah, blah. You know, give your version of that, unless you're nothing like that. And then come in and give me you and give me something else. Because sometimes you'll come in and, you know, it'll be, you know, looking, I'd be called in, but the character's described as a Latin American, a guy from Puerto Rico. And I'm thinking, why are they calling me, you know? That doesn't mean I should try to be a Latin man from Puerto Rico. It means, all right, well, obviously they're open for other interpretations of this part. So let me give them the best me. And sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. But, you know, it's an opportunity to try something.
So good. Oh my gosh, so good. I want to just ask, is it okay if we go a little longer? I want to be respectful of your time because you're so kind to do this, because we do have some more questions. So,
Writing.
Okay, you're so generous to do this for us, so I wanted to be respectful of that. But plus, I think everybody's dying to hear more things, and everything you're sharing is just treasures. They're just pearls. It's good stuff. The Christopher asked, which relates to what you were just talking about. As a writer, where do you find the balance between the character you wrote and the actor playing the character? Is it common to change some traits, attributes of a character in order to fit an actor's behavior?
Well, you know, if the actor comes in and does something better than I thought, I'm thrilled. They don't have to do it my way. I can, you know, I think a good producer and a good director will say they were great. They were just so funny and comfortable, and so did such interesting stuff with it. We'll write it towards them, you know, we'll adjust it towards them because it was such a great version of what we sometimes, it's better. And then sometimes, as a writer, we'll have an actor. We had, I remember once for Daniel Davis, we wrote a joke, and each run through, it didn't get a laugh. And I was directing it, and the writers kept saying to me, well, have him try it this way, have him try it this way. And the third time I said, you know what? This guy is remarkably funny.
Mm.
He can't make this funny. Maybe it's just, let's write him another line. Because it's not, well, if he did it, I said, you've got to know when to fold him and say, it's not working for this actor. So let's try something else. We're all very talented people. We can come up with another line. It's a creative process, and it doesn't always work. It's, the Nanny was a phenomenon that we don't know why it was, because you put just as much effort into shows that are canceled in 15 minutes. So you don't know what the magic is. That's the thing in our business. There's all the effort and energy, but then there's this little piece of magic. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So you just keep trying to do the same thing and concentrate on the work, concentrate on your character, concentrate on the writing, good writing. You try to make it as good as possible. What you think is, you can't listen to everybody, clear view of what you want, and have a way of making a living that does not count on acting, because you won't have that pressure when you're auditioning. Oh, I gotta get this job. You'll know you work at night as a waiter or a waitress or whatever it is on the weekends, that you can relax and concentrate on your craft. Because when you go in desperate, you can smell it. You know, the people know it. And you shouldn't feel that way. Have a way to make a living and concentrate on what you love as your craft. Because it's and keep doing theater, keep doing community theater. Do whatever you can to keep your instrument working.
That's so good, because Peter, I love that, because sometimes we'll get people at the school that will say, oh, I'm giving 2 years to acting. Like, are you nuts? Like, it doesn't work that way. It sets you up for great stress, and it's not going to happen in that. People have unrealistic ideas of how quickly things happen, and then
do it.
Yeah,
you want to
exactly. Yes,
do it because you want to make a lot of money. If you want to make a lot of money, do something that you can control. You can't control acting because too many people are making the choice for you. You can do a great job. It doesn't mean you're going to get the job. But like I said, these days you can make your own career online. You can get sponsors online. You can do stuff. If you want to get creative, put your energy into that. But do act because you love to act and you love the craft. Not to say you won't make a lot of money. You may, but just I wouldn't do it for that reason. There are other ways to make a lot of money that are a lot easier.
It's so good, Peter. That's just rich. It really is, because I think it screws with people's creativity for sure. So you being so successful saying that is actually great wisdom. I mean, so many things you say, I love, because we tell our students this all the time, but you hearing it from you, who's done everything and had the career that you've had, it's very exciting. When
we started the Nanny, we were $16,000 in debt. We were barely making it. So, I mean, I wasn't, I came from very humble beginnings. My parents didn't have any money. I did not have, all this, now is, yes, network TV in the 90s, but, I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've been given. But I guess because I did learn how to write. I did learn how all the things that I did learn in besides acting, it did help me with the producing when that came my way. I did know about all that stuff, and that did help me. So, again, preparedness with opportunity. I wish I was more prepared when I was an actor at times, but with the producing, I was pretty prepared.
That's great. It's great. Somebody was asking what you're speaking about when you talk about preparing as an actor. We
Oh.
have some people here that just started acting or just at the very, maybe they've started class a week ago, so they don't know much about it. So yeah.
I think, I think to study as an actor, I think you need to learn how to first learn how to use what we call your body as your instrument. learn movement, learn how to feel comfortable in your own skin, not to be able to move properly, to be able to speak clearly, to be able to then do scene study, learn what how to do character work, how to react, because as they say, acting is reacting.
Mm.
Learn how to listen.
Mm.
Don't wait to say your line. Listen to what the person's saying to you. If what you have to say comes in 3 seconds later, because it'll be real because you were listening to them. That's what acting is. It's reacting to what somebody's saying to you. It's not grand performances.
Good.
It's just one of the most brilliant performances I ever saw on in the movie Precious. Monique played the mother, and when I saw that, I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
It was so real, and it was so, you were almost thinking, is she making this up?
Yeah.
Where is this all coming from? I mean, this is she won the Academy Award for it, and deserved it. And I thought to myself, boy, if that isn't an acting class right there, I mean, you don't get any better, realer. I mean, from the snot coming out of her nose as she's crying, no, just raw talent, raw acting, raw being there. Not a false moment in that monologue. And it's funny because Lee Daniels used to be my manager. And before he went into directing. And he also had a very, very interesting eye for talent, always, I thought. And I was always very grateful that he thought I was talented. He was a casting director too. He cast me in a movie years ago, and then managed me. But look at performances like that. Look at those type of performances, and that's the kind of work you want to strive for. That's
good.
What you want to be. And she started in sitcoms. I mean, she was a stand-up actress, and she was funny on a sitcom. And then she does this character that was, so horrible, but yet you felt for her because you knew where this was coming from. Yeah. All in this one little monologue. And I mean, I just think it's brilliant. Watch that and be preparedness takes time. It's not just like, okay, I read it. I know my words. I know where I'm going to stop talking. That's not what being prepared for is. It's all this work you guys do in school that sometimes you want to say, shit, if I do one more exercise, but those exercises of freeing yourself up to be able to do something like she did is why you're doing that, is to be that person that, is not locked, but free to be and free to make mistakes in school. You're prepared, so when somebody calls you in and says, hey, you're going to meet with CBS on Monday, it's not like, oh my God, it's like, okay, I know what to do. I know how to break down a script. I know how to look at this and say, okay, what's my motivation? Why am I saying this? Who am I? And so when you go in there, you're clear, you're confident, and the people sitting behind the desk can get a clear idea of who you are, and you may or may not get the part, but you walked in and you did a good job.
Preach, man, preach. That's good. It's so good. You know, I love what you shared earlier too, in terms of like for the comedy that you're not always going to get a laugh, but the truth behind it, the humanity behind it. And your new show is a sitcom. It's multicam, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Country Comfort. What draws you to this? I think multicam is harder than other forms of comedy because there's so many elements to it. Can you talk about that and what's drawn you to it? Because it's much more difficult to write, I have to imagine, because the precision in it. And any thoughts on that and
Well,
that versus single cam and, you know?
when I was a kid, Fran and I used to watch I Love Lucy all the time, which is, and we dissect it, and loved it. And I remember Fran's mom used to walk in and say, "Oh my God, if you kids could only make a living doing this." We were 8 years old, but we loved it. We loved everything about it, down to the costumes, the lighting, the laugh you would hear that you'd overhear. You know, we dissect it. Writing a sitcom is like writing a 2-act or 3-act play. So each commercial is an act break, and now they're like 4 acts because they want so many commercials. But you're also writing because they say canned laughter, but it's not. There's a live audience there, and you rehearse. You see a run through of it twice during the week. What works, what doesn't work, and you keep rewriting it. Every day, the actor gets a new script. So, the actor doesn't really lock into their script till Friday morning, and they have an audience that night. So you learn it, but every day you're going to get new lines. Mm. So, it's an instrument that you learn to use, but, and then sometimes it doesn't work in front of a live audience. And the writers run in and give them another joke, and you've got to make it work right then in front of everybody.
Yeah.
So again, it's a process. It's that you learn where one camera is more like a film where you get the script. It's not changed. You learn it. You do it. You get in a big movie you can get 30 takes. On a television show you're lucky if you get 2. So you want to bring your A game. You want to be prepared. Yeah. I've done things like when I was an actor, I remember I did a couple of Matlocks, which was, one of those things. You always ended up in a courtroom scene where you had pages of dialogue, which scared the hell out of me because I hated learning dialogue and I was not great at it. Or a soap opera where it would be like page after page after page of, this dialogue that a lot of times was not that great and very expository and trying to make it real and, but you don't always get great stuff to work with. So you also have to learn how to make stuff as good as it can be. I would not change lines that were written for an audition. Stick text as written, even if you think you got a better joke, don't. Stay with the text. And don't go for the end result. Go for the work. Go for the enjoyment of the audition and the read. Learn how to enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Help. If you go for the end result, it's too much pressure. Take all that away from that. Get another job. Do this as a side gig. And if you get a series, God bless. If you get a movie, great. Do theater. To learn stagecraft. I know I keep coming back to the same thing, good. But
thank you.
They need
to hear it over and over, so this is good.
Because I know a lot of people are sitting there rolling their eyes and saying, "I just want a part on a sitcom."
Yep.
They're hard to get.
Yes.
It's 700 people out there trying to get that 3 lines that are on there. So that's why I say, and there are some and commercials are a good way. You're going to have to get an agent too, which is difficult enough.
Yeah.
So try to work on the things that you do have control of, So most of the business you have no control of.
Good.
All you have control of is you, your performance, what you do, and even sometimes then it's not great. Anybody who's done stage knows. It was off. I was off a beat. I kept trying to get back on the track, but it just, I couldn't, it just didn't work. Now, does the audience know that? Probably not. But you know it because you feel off. I know for me that's happened, with runs that go on. If you do a stage play and they go for a while, some nights, I remember I was doing like a grocery thing in my head in the middle of a show. I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? This is all in my head.
Wow.
Get back in scene.
Wow. I love that as an actor, you just care so much and understand actors' journey as a director. I just love hearing you speak about how you work with actors, and just your sensitivity is amazing. Happily Divorced was so much fun, and I love the scene of you
Meeting me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What was that like? You doing a show that's sort of like, how are you different from the character on the show? And a lot.
No, not really. It was kind of close to me in a lot of ways. It was very close to Fran. Not exactly, but the story didn't happen that way. But I think, when we found John Michael Higgins to play me, we were so lucky because he's a genius. And then we just thought it would be funny if he dated me.
That was hilarious. That was so hilarious. The hallway scene, oh my God.
There's more of that scene, I think, too, where Fran starts to cry and again, and I just like say, oh, this is going to be a long night, so I leave. But it was fun to do. I like doing little Hitchcock moments on my shows where I get to play little pieces. I don't have to worry about learning a lot of lines or anything like that. That's like my nightmare. Not good at learning lines.
Yeah, that was just classic. And I forgot what your line back, where something was like, he was like, can you relate? And you're like, oh yeah. Or it was just like, oh my God, I just died laughing. I mean, what is it to have a show that's kind of based on your life that you did? I mean, that's bold and courageous in a way, to kind of splay stuff out there, but then make it funny. And
well, that's something also you students can do. You all have a unique story, every one of you. You don't have to have come out, or you don't have to be a nun, or you don't have to who left and took care of 7 kids, but you all have a unique story. There's it in there. Tell it. When Fran went to sell a show to TV Land, she was going to sell TV shows, and they said, well, what would it be if you were in it? What would you want to play? She said, well, that's easy. That would be me and my ex-husband, who's now gay, who came out. And she said, but, the other shows I have, she said, no, you don't have to tell us the other shows because we just bought that show.
Wow.
That's what we want to do. And so she called me and she said, we're back at work. And I said, and I thought it was a great idea. It should have gone longer, that show. It was getting momentum, but the whole TV Land changed their format, and they were trying to get a younger audience when we were doing it to an older audience. And but you take things. I was out living a gay life for many, many years, and then Fran, who then I got a call like 10 years later that In Touch magazine was going to out me. And I said, out me? I've been out for 10 years. And it was like, I don't think this is big. They said, well, America doesn't know. And I said, I really don't think America gives a shit. And they said, well, we do. Do you want to say anything? And I said, there's nothing really for me to say. I mean, I called Fran and she said, I said, do you want to say anything? She said, no. She said, just say, we love each other. We support each other. Everybody should live their authentic life, which they turned into Fran Drescher outs her husband. Now, okay, so, big deal. I've been through a lot worse, and I didn't care. I didn't want to say anything because it looked like I was looking for press. And we had said, but we had done Oprah when we were on the Nanny, and they saw this and they said, well, will you come back and talk about this? Now, while we came back and talk about this, we were starting Unhappily Divorced. So on Oprah, we get to say, well, we're doing a show about it called Happily Divorced. We're just doing a pilot. She says, oh my God, what a great idea for a TV show. Here you have the biggest show on earth touting your TV show, saying how great it should be. And so, you know, sometimes the universe comes to you in an interesting way and presents these things that, you know, a door opens, go through it. You don't know where it's going to lead you. You don't know. And, you know, 36 episodes later, you know, it became
So good.
a show.
So good. Oh my God, Peter, this is so great. I just want to keep you and ask you a million questions, but I feel you've been phenomenally kind to visit us today. I know people are writing messages of gratitude here in the, Peter, thank you so much for your generous gift of time and input. It's been enlightening and inspiring to have your input. Be happy and be well. So fun. And I know that there's in there other amazing information. It really, Peter, unbelievable. Any last things people want to share? Seriously, I could talk to you forever. I feel like I could. It's fascinating. Your story is fascinating. I think the fact that you're so smart, so talented, so funny, and just humble. You're just warm and humble and just so honest about the journey has been powerful and just crazy insightful. I really, this is beyond, Shantae is saying wants to, Shantae, do you have something?
Yeah, I just basically want to say that with all of the stuff that's been going on with COVID and the industry and all that, feels really uneasy, I guess, at this time as an actor, and this session was just really encouraging, and I feel empowered to like move forward and continue to create and like get better. So I'm just happy that at the end of this, I feel happy and encouraged and like ready to go. So thank you so much.
Remember, you're in control of your own career here. You really can make something happen, and you can have an audience. You can put it up there. You can do fun stuff. You can do, you know, there's YouTube stars that, you know, get paid tons of money that do stupid as shit. And then, you know, you can actually form something that's good. You can teach it. You can do an acting class online. You can do a play. You're all in this business and in class because you're creative people. And so use it. That's the gift that you were given. Use the gift. And I'm sure something great will come of it. Down the road, you never know. You never know where it's going to lead you if you keep your creativity going.
And we have such good stuff. Just a few other comments of people's gratitude. Wow, what a journey. Incredible conversation. Thank you, Jody says. Pat says, I enjoyed this. Thank you, Peter. We can all hope to work with someone as creative, sensitive, and genuine as you. Martha said, thank you, so interesting. George, thank you so much, Peter, for giving us the opportunity to get to know you, and thank you for the different tips you recommended. Alana says, this has been amazing. I've gotten so much out of it and can't thank you enough. I've got so many notes and just feel so encouraged from all you said. Thank you, Peter. Nikki, thank you for the wealth of knowledge, direction, bold honesty. Chris, very inspiring, makes me want to go further with my passion. Oh,
good.
Yeah, really, really
Don't
good
let
stuff.
anybody talk you out of your passion. Find a way to make a living and follow your passion, whether it be on the side, if it's professional, whatever it is. Never give up on it. Always enjoy it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because there will be probably people that do. Don't listen to them. Follow your heart. Follow what you want to do. Enjoy every moment of it. You know, we're only here once. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. Be kind to each other. Be respectful to each other. You know, we all get up there and, you know, especially in an acting class where we make fools of ourselves, but that's a comfortable place to make a fool of yourself. And that's where you should. So, you know, be encouraging. That's all, because, you know, you'll remember these days in acting class. I went to a
Yeah.
wonderful acting class, and they were great times. And I remember I'm still friends with many people from those classes, and we've stayed in touch. And many of them have gone on to great things. And so, you know,
It's good.
enjoy
It's
it.
good. I love that. Peter, I can't thank you enough, sir. I could not even say enough about how much I've just enjoyed this and how inspiring you've been, your generosity, your warmth, your brilliant information, phenomenal things that you've accomplished. You're a joy. You're delightful as a person. Seriously, this was I had high expectations, but you just like blew my expectations out of the water, which I thought was impossible because I was so excited about this. So, yes. And we've got other people. David, well said. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for the inspiring words. I'm now into tears, which, I feel like that too. I do. I feel, I was feeling,
Well, remember them, because those moments are going to come where you're going to say, oh, and just remember, center yourself, get back on the track, follow your passion, and don't, you know, and just enjoy the ride, because that's most of it, is the ride.
amen. All good, Peter, man. It's just so amazing. So thank you. I think we've got everybody muted, but we're like super grateful. We got people clapping and gratitude and amazing, Peter. Juicy stuff. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
You're an incredible human being.
You're very kind, and thank you again for having me.
Thanks.
Good luck to every one of you. I hope you're all very famous and you all hire me.
Sweet. Love it. Thank you, Peter. Thanks.
Bye.